crackers. "1975, I think I took a course in psychic development. It was be yourself. Find your inner voice. So I think learning things and listening to old stories is positive, but don't get attached to it. I've learned a lot of psychology, of methodology. I play the piano. There's certain methodology and technique. I play guitar. I look at the advantages of I got big fingers. Oh, I got to trim the nails. Yeah, but I have big fingers, and if I was reading anything about Nick Drake, an incredible guitar player, but it was before his time. His music was so out there. And I think he got depressed because he was comparing himself, and his popularity wasn't very good. It takes a long time for people to appreciate talent that is unusually different. But it wasn't that his music wasn't good. His articulation on the guitar was incredible. He had long fingers. Oscar Peterson had huge fingers on piano. And he took that to an advantage. I listened to Bill Evans. I listened to all this in the groove and these strange jazz rhythms that are just not in our music system now. That is so conformed to profit-based. So we worry about what we conform to. If we're artists, we go out of the box. But, we go into a nuance of something completely different. But nothing's created different by listening to all these stories. I have a problem with generalized Western psychology. It seems to be too based on principles of what is the norm. Something about normal. So Nick Drake got very depressed because nobody was listening to his music. Kurt Cobain offed himself. All that group of 27, they offed themselves. There's fame and fortune. I listened to Mike Oldfield, and I loved what he did in music. He was working with Sir Richard Branson. Now, you get the instrumentation. I find my money situation's not good. I'm planning to leave Canada for good and denounce citizenship because we've been following norms of social media on methods of getting off fossil fuels. And it's either this or that, generalization of neoliberal or conservative. Conservative's nothing, and neoliberal is everything, is a mediation. Well, sometimes things have to die in yourself, that you don't have to mediate anything that doesn't serve you. So being carbon neutral as much as I can and not letting people judge you and say you're using a plastic pen. You don't need that. You need to find your own way. But there is ways of reducing carbon. And being highly sensitive, there's no generalization. What was I hearing on here? Women's apathy to being feminine and saying we're emotional creatures. Well, I'm an emotional man. So I hear this division in being right-brained, which women are, I guess. And I am too. I think very creatively. But learning techniques and bringing back to a middle ground is better, as in right-left brain unity. I found social media was swaying me all over and wasting my life. And I hear all these stories, and they're all commercial garbage, that we have to conform to social media and maybe do a detox, a complete detox, and then come back to it. I don't agree. I find that if it's right for you, and don't listen to the pros and cons, because that's based on a generalization. You're a different person. I'm a different person. I don't like being conformed. I don't like influencers. I play the music formulated on a 1-4-5 piano rhythm of blues, but I don't get conformed into listening to that boogie woogie piano to that piano. You know what I mean? I'm playing a lot of flats and different scales. Now, I listen to music like Life's Being Good. He's taking an F, and what fits in there? That's a waltz. There's the music that breaks through is something completely different. So why are we listening to Mavericks never get ahead being conformists. And the people that have got ahead as far as women go are journalists that started going out of the box and questioning things. They had a lever of maybe fiscal economics. And she wrote about plant-based diet way back, and the diet for a small planet. That was a very revolutionary book for a woman. She's still going. And I still believe in women's empowerment and standing alone and not getting into all these certitudes. Women aren't meant to struggle. I know that, okay? But what causes struggling? Conforming? How many women have I ever met meeting women that are in their 50s and regrets? I had children. I just, and then the regret of I never had children. The Buddha, which I like, was the middle path. No attachments, it's one part. But he negated everything. He was overwhelmed because he was Babel wrapped as a prince in Marfama. And he went out in the charioteer, said, "What is this? This is death." And he couldn't conform that this is hidden away from him, that it happens to all living beings. So he's overwhelmed. So he started negating everything. He negated that food, and he was down to a little pea, and he was getting really, really skinny. That was extreme negation. And later he came to the middle path. And he had a discourse on a metaphor called holding a flower up. Nobody could get it, but one did. See, I came to live in metaphors, and Jesus taught in parables, because to bring in spiritual, which is quantum reality, to this material thought form, it has to go into metaphorical principles. I've been using artificial intelligence and asking questions on this. And as soon as I bring it back to metaphors, and it comes up with a completely different shit. But if I'm staying in the mind of words and meaning, So I heard a psychologist, and it was good to learn this. She says meaning is safety. To find meaning in everything. Heisenberg's principle of uncertainty is there's no certainty. And that's it. This is quantum reality. There's no certainty in anything. So if there's no certainty, why try to make things certain? Why try to find meaning? One hand clapping. It's to get you out of those forms. What's mindfulness? Present moment awareness. Which seems boring because we're always trying to get somewhere. We've been measuring everything. But I think the journey is never ending and learning is never ending, but not getting attached to it. Like the technique I learned on piano last night, I applied it. The staccato, the nuance of my fingering and just adding more technique to the instrument. Same with the guitar. But not learning those things. I could go and just use these damn things and bring up a lot of wet on the pedals. I don't like that. I like to keep it clean. And I hear shredders on guitar and it drives me nuts. It's just like those engines out there. There's no intervals, there's no variances. Sometimes nature is a good teacher, like bird songs. They're pentatonics. What key? What key is he singing? An appreciation for bird songs. I spend hours like totally sitting in the park being. Eckhart Tolle said something very beautiful. A man says, I want what you have. Well, he talked about that in New Earth. He said, well, the man sitting on a box for 5 years, and he says, I'm so poor. What's in the box? He said. This is a metaphor. I don't know. I've sat on here for 5 years. Open the box, and there's gold inside. So, the saying of find the silver lining in every dark event in your life. You're becoming seaworthy because the storms are many in the life's path. I've had a lot of disappointments, but I have to find the inner peace and the stillness underlying all this noise. So do I think social media is a good thing right now? Right now, I don't want to get into it. I'm taking a break. I found I could put trust in a woman then, and she was a Filipino. But then I lost trust because she wanted to go online and me pay for the Wi-Fi. I'm not doing her any good, and I just broke the relationship off. I don't want to really date a poor woman. I'm not rich, but I'm not going to worry about women right now. And dating women that are extremely unethical to make money or positive. Find something, just believe and surrender to what I do and not worry about being alone. I think it's a great opportunity because I remember praying I couldn't stand my ex-wife. I was praying to be alone from all these people that are telling me how to think, how to be. Now I am. So I realized I got to look after myself. I got to save money, and I'm going to build a business just doing Reiki. And I'm not going to listen to the anti-Reiki people. I've been learning a lot of techniques. I could go I play bass. But I hear guys saying, bass on the piano or keyboard is not bass. I can play bass on an instrument, and I can get the same sound out of it. I agree, but it does teach you the chromatic skills. I play harmonica, and Carlos Del Junco plays chromatically on a diatonic. So is there one fixed method in music? No, I don't think so. Chromatic scales are a great way to bring up your musicianship. The 88 key piano is what I love, but the technique has to be horned. It's like guitar. The plectrum harmonics are great when you're playing, and it really rocks at a bar or something when you can take that pick, touch it, and ching, those notes are really hitting. The harmonics in acoustic guitar, great stuff. You can add it like sauce. That's technique. And then add a little bit of juice onto it, a little bit of gain, these things, but don't. Heavy metal bugged me. It was just, he said the musical scales are, the modals and like that are classical, but I can't hear the intervals. The gain's too high and there's just too much fuzz. I remember when we were coming out with these pedals when Hendrix came out. Electro-harmonic, that's that one there. Electro-harmonic. That's a small one. I like them off, but there's some drive pedals that I just use to amplify the major power tube circuits and just have small tweed amps or something that just drive up the major power section with a drive pedal. But acoustic guitar, different animal. What do you like better? Which guitar? I hear this all the time on social media, and it was driving me nuts. Every instrument has its nuance. I like Nord pianos. I like acoustic pianos, which are Steinway or Yamaha. Yamaha acoustics got a nice sound to me. I like the Larrabee guitar, but I'll tell you something. I don't like I like a heavier string. So for acoustic guitar, I think I'll go to I'll get that one fixed. It's got cracks in the top. The tone's good, but the back and sides are mahogany. It's got a tone, and another thing, I listened to Tommy Emmanuel, and he said you're always changing strings. You're going from Foster's Bronze to 80-20s, 20-80s, and it brightens it up the sound, but then it starts to go, so you go back to the other one. It's amazing, though, the tonality of wood changes. But I play a Fender Telecaster with a maple neck. It's awful bright. It's very bright. But I go to a rosewood. These are variances. But I'm considering changing the pickups on it to maybe a stacked humbucker or something. But I like the action high. And that doesn't make sense to people. But somebody who's watching me play, you play that Slight and Hawkins stuff. And you're holding down on the pinky 2 strings, double stopping. How can you do that? I can't do that. I played for years. It's my fingers and my dexterity of having light fingers. No, am I better than other musicians? No, I don't think so. We work with what we have. Like Rachmaninoff had incredible fingers. But a lot of Asian players can play just the same stuff with little stubby fingers. Django Reinhardt, 2 fingers. Incredible player. But a big finger, narrow fingers are good for playing. It gives you leverage. And it's to learn who you are. Your body's a little different than everybody's. You need a good tailor. don't you? A good Jewish tailor that takes your measurements and fits the pants just right. That's custom. So if I got into an acoustic guitar, I'd go to a luthier. I talked to some top musicians. They do go to luthiers. There's one in New Zealand I'm considering. That is a really good luthier. But um, Larrabee was a guitar that I liked because of he was sort of adapting the wide fingerboard to, and it is a nice playing guitar, but I gotta get it repaired. Would I go to another Larrabee? Well, I got in an argument about that to a top musician. He says it's not handmade. It is in a way. He was turning these guitars out, and the tops were cut by a lathe that was computer guided, and the backs and sides were all pressed. They were good made guitar in maybe a 50-man factory. But they're a bit cheaper than Martins. Would I play a Martin? I play guitars are just very individual. I wouldn't say there's one acoustic guitar better than the other. I wouldn't say there's one woman better than the other. We shouldn't judge on basis of normality. I like these pedals. These are dirty. You go wash it, but it's Electroharmonic was one pedal I like. Now I use Boss, and that's a looper. But I'm looking at one of the big stations because I'm playing piano, guitar, organ, everything, and I want to loop it together. Let's say I don't like just straight DAW systems. Go to a 4-track tape or just a tape and 2-inch. Put the headroom in there on acoustic tracks and electric tracks, and then bring it back to DAW. What's wrong with that? Because all music was always based on ADD. Eh? In music, it was all ADD, analog to digital, But we went all digital. Now there's benefits on having a piano or keyboard like a Nord that has so many good sound banks. But to get into analog moods and stuff, incredible stuff. I think it's just finding what suits you, and don't buy it online. Go and try it, and spend some time with it, and see if you like it. I went to an artist. He has so many canvases at 80 or 85. He studied under A.Y. Jackson, one of the great group of 7. He says, take that canvas home. I got a little frame here. Put it on the wall. Give it 6 weeks. Does it resonate with you? Is it for you? I like that. And somebody said, he's a plagiarist doing a group of 7. No. I disagree. He studied under the stylization of A.Y. Jackson directly. But that's not plagiarism, my friend. Plagiarism is copy bands and cover bands and stylizations just done completely like a plagiarism. He pulls out these canvases. I said, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm doing a pink sky study. Beautiful stuff. But I wouldn't say he's a plagiarist. So is there a relationship to art and music? Yeah. I was watching one artist painting once. It was a landscape up in Killarney. Great group of 7 stylization. But I'll tell you something. I looked at it and I got it. You're putting violet on the rocks to draw my eye in. You want me to see something. You're directing me. because this stylization was surreal landscape to bring in the person's perspective of the art. Like you hear Glenn Gould, and I said, I hear Bach. I don't hear Bach, I hear Gould. That's the kicker of doing renditions of Brandenburg Concerto. Renditional music to your nuance and your feelings. You'll hear Gould, and you'll hear an emotional man if you can really listen. Sometimes people don't like Gould because of this impurity of the microphone and humming. Him humming is what I love. He was unconventional. And it's just a part of his signature that made him unique. So I do hear Gould. Glenn Gould was the most incredible pianist in Canada of his time. And I think every musician across the world has these nuances. Brian May of Queen, his playing was phenomenally different. And nobody could play that guitar like that. You pick up a guitar and you've got a technique, it'll have its own sound. So why would we keep on trying to be like everybody else? Why would we, like, sometimes you gotta look at the audience too. And I find blues music of familiarity people rather listen to than shredders in a busking set. They love that blues sound, that nuance. But then I bring it back to minors of and not always pentatonics, minor blues and jazz chords. I add things, flavors. It's like taking Nashville's, taking the Memphis sound of Sun Records. Some of those old guitar pad and picking was unique. Adding it in there, and who does that better than anybody? Bill Frisell, jazz guitarist, but he plays a lot of stylizations. Now, Bill was a man that I really taught me a lot about music because I heard him, and I started talking to Katie Mellick on TV radio one night, late night. We were discussing music, and she was talking between records spinning with Chum. And I heard Bill Frisell. I said, play more of him. No, I can't because he's American. But Bill played on Nora Jones and his quartets. I loved his guitar playing. And he spent 5 years in a Manhattan apartment just getting that stylization of that jazz done. And Bill Evans and all this stuff in the groove. This was 8/16, unusual timings. But now the conformity of everything's back, and it's 4/4 time, and it's just noise. And people get insulted at me when I say I hate hip hop because it's not your music. Every book has a cover to it. Well, I buy a lot of books that are Audible or they got the cover there, but I don't go by that. I go by the content. So I put a lot on my iPhone or iPad and listen to books, screen read them, but records, they're addictive. The cover art of records was incredible. And I go into a boutique and I find something. What is this? This is an unusual album. It is, if I got to talk to you, it's My Steve Hackett, Genesis, incredible album. But it was the artwork, all this stuff, Klaatu. I discovered that. What the heck is this? And it's so different. It was hooking me into these these musical maverick stylizations. Sort of a combination of a gothic classical brought into modern music. It was incredible. But now it's sort of the baby out of the dishwater. The classical nuances of music. Peter Frampton, he hated jazz. That was his parents' thing. But then he heard Django Reinhardt. Whoa. And it changed his playing, and Steve Winwood. All those great guitarists were changed by going back and exploring possibilities of different stylizations. So I started listening to all the chess records and all that stuff. I remember hearing What is the Soul of a Man by Bruce Cockburn, which is a very powerful song. What is that? Lead Belly? Yeah, you'll hear it. You'll hear Elvis, and you'll hear this is the old Brace records. So everything has a foundation, like blocks, but we can take it farther. Led Zeppelin took a lot of Robert Johnson and did a renditional version of it. Clapton did too. Changing the elements and improving the tonality is one method. I went to a workshop for 2 weeks up here in Blue Mountain Village in 1975. I was working with the band Lighthouse. And then I worked with a man named the bass player of Lenny Solomon's jazz quartet. Lenny was a electric jazz violinist. He played an alembic like, what's his name? That beautiful 4-string bass. But he had so much technique and so much speed on that bass. He could go up there like Weather Report's Jacko. He's an incredible bass player. And Jaco Pastorius played on a lot of tracks with Joni Mitchell. He was unusually gifted. And, we couldn't figure out what key are you in? So I talked to another bass player. She's playing banjo, so I know that's in the key of G. Well, that's good because she gets the foundation there. And I'm going to use that G that she's droning on with a 5-string banjo, and he got that down. Jacko, he'd hear Joni Mitchell. Nobody could play with her because she's always retuning because she had polio. And she took that polio to retune the guitars. And that's what made Joni very, very different. She was playing a lot of instruments. And she found her voicing with her challenges, with fingers, polio. And she went to electric guitar because she found the body of acoustic was just difficult for her polio hands. But the challenge created something different. It pushed her out there. And she's still a great artist. She's still an amazing woman. And she's a sort of a foundation of women in music. When she's playing in those concerts, they were crying, the Judds and all those women. The sisterhood of musicians, feminines. And Lilith was incredible. It had Sean Cover and it had Sarah McLachlan. Great music. And Katie Lang. Women have really been mavericks in many things. And I hear this stuff like we are emotional beings. That's the quality. Work with that energy of nurture. Don't get into this, we can't do that. That's apathy. And I heard that on there, and it was very disappointing to hear women say that. Now, my friend is a U.S. deputy sheriff. She retired. She was mounted division. And I said to a Queensland woman selling houses and making money in real estate. But she started yelling at me. I asked her a couple more questions about who was the best for a mortgage and stuff. And she attacked me and she said, "Oh, she just, as a woman, does." How do I know? I'm a woman raising a daughter. I haven't got time to answer these questions. So I went back to Liz. Don't you get it, Greg? An older woman. I'm going to talk to you about listening to older women that have struggled in business. We're not meant to struggle, right? You're an emotional being. Look at the nuance of being a woman and get into a new wave of feminism that is more aligned with who you are and your emotional sensitivities, and you are a right brain thinker. Try to bring it back a little bit. Get grounded. That's what yin yoga does. It's to get you grounded. I hear a lot of stuff in yoga, like Yoga Bhajan. I don't like him. His wife is a yoga teacher. She's gone completely against him because of some sexual impropriety. Not crap. Society's sexually impropriety. It's all pornography, and then it's a complete negation of sexuality. So where do you come in the middle path there? I don't know. This guy's showing flack and ejaculation and how it hurts you and how water. He's going into water dynamics. What a bunch of rubbish. He's young and he hasn't figured out much. But, as far as sex goes, it's an energy. And if you read Napoleon Hill, I think you should read that. That sexual energy can be used to manifest money and abundance as entrepreneurs. So, I noticed this. They judge entrepreneurial people as crazy. The mavericks, the people that go outside the box and spend a lot of time alone. I spend time writing and drawing conclusions. I use synchronicity like Jung did. But I don't, and I start seeing, why am I learning this and why am I learning that? And how does it fit together as I'm getting older? I've negated a few things. I was going to be a life coach. But did all those skills, did they hurt me? No. Psychology, do I want to be a psychologist? No. I'm just going to be an energy healer and teacher. And I'm going to play music. A lot of musicians go and drive taxi or deliver pizza to buy gear. I'm going to make money in Australia being a full-out grand Reiki master and teach classes and stuff. Then get a place that's small and a studio and build my gear up. I love good piano, good guitars. I can't do it any other way. And is it a problem at 68 or 70 to be a Reiki master and teacher and develop your skills? It's a lot of work. I have to do attunements and take notes like Madame Lakata and really gauge things. But I noticed how much time I was spending criticizing things. That's not me. So I got off social media. There's a lot of things I've been unsubscribing from on YouTube. Not that I hate you, but it's time now to think on my own. Some of your points are very good on here, but I want less, so I have more. And find my own path, and that's you too. Our general psychology is getting sick. It's blanket statements of generality. We're all different. The utopia, the unutopia of breaking away from utopia. What's the utopia? Grave New Worlds on Huxley. Think of it. Look at this. I don't want to talk to him. I keep on blocking him. He's trying to sell me mattresses. I go on there and it's Facebook, and I don't want to get into debt. And those mattresses are a hell of a price. They sound cheap, but they're on a payment plan. So I know I don't. I want to buy things right out. No, I don't want it. I can go down and get a mattress in some of these going out of business sales without putting money down to save for it. So he's just calling me every hour, and I've been blocking him. And then I look up there, they say it's a scam. $2,100 for a mattress and pay monthly payments. See, they're hiring people to do this stuff. I don't want it. And as far as migration agents, I just go with one. You know, the Australian government's certified migration agents. Because I've seen people getting scammed on these companies that are subsidiaries of stuff. I don't get into that. Get focused. Don't let the social media and all the amount of massive information get out there. And that's what I'm doing. I'm cutting out all this junk. And knowing what products I'm going to buy in instrumentation. And I'm coming into my home. But I go and I play street pianos. This is a Yamaha. This is a Heinzway. Listen to different sounds. Listen to the action of that piano. Yeah, but I go into music shops and I'm getting sick of it. The experts and how the action should be so low. It doesn't suit me. Everybody has a different nuance, a different feeling. And it's like, is there one pant? I find my size doesn't fit all this generalization of pants. You know, I think I need to go to a tailor. It's a bit money, but limit to the amount of garbage and the generalized fitting and find a Jewish tailor because I'm tired of this. And I went to one once, and I was young, and the girls really liked it because my butt was extending. They said, yes, pretty sexy. So, you know, get a tailor, guys. You gentlemen. But Jim Dandy, yeah. No, be you. Be you. I'll tell you what I find attractive in a woman of any age. When she starts learning to sew and knit and get away from that fashion racket, she's unique. It's vintage, or is it? She's fitting things to be her. This is me. She's not following the trends. Like, I wear John Lennon glasses because they're so anti the traditional stuff. They used to say, I went to a psychologist, everybody will think you're different, then you're crazy. Oh, I'll be crazy. As long as I'm obeying the law of the land and respecting people's rights, I'll be me. I don't want to be them. So that's why my look at psychology of right now, it's based on a normality that are things that I don't agree with. Like free market capitalism. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in cryptocurrencies flipping up the market and not right livelihood. So, you know, there's certain things I don't agree with. Would I get into cryptocurrencies? I don't even think it's a vehicle. I wouldn't use it. I'd use cash and money. And like I always did. but the inflationary cycles are going up. I explore, but I don't like the system. And I see that's the problem. This housing market's just crazy. So I'm going to negate Canada because I don't think any of them have got a plan. I don't think any of them have got a plan. I don't think food banks are the answer. I think grassroots economy and small micromanaged systems are better. So wherever I go, I'm going to find maybe up in Queensland or somewhere where the climate's maybe Victoria or New South Wales. I remember being in Albany, and my cousin made a lot of money there in medicine, and he was a good doctor. He was a radiologist. He had his own clinic. He was very advanced for his time. He just built that clinic. He had a CAT scan, MRI, everything in there in the 80s. And I don't think he had a CAT scan, an MRI, but he had CAT scans that were very, back then, that was state of the art. In a small house, with a clinic in it. So he made millions. And he retired buying a vineyard. Because when you're a doctor, you see people dying of cancer. He told me this. You drink. They love vineyards and wine, and Australia's wines are, I think, the best in the world. I think they're the best. To me, I like Australian wine. It doesn't have the tartness to it. It's just pure, beautiful wine. I like Queensland rum. There's things I love in Australia. There's things I love in Canada, but I got a problem with it. Because of climate change, I talked to the brewmasters of these places, and they say that's why we're not getting hops and the prices are going up. So, I don't listen to all this blaming carbon tax. I listen to economists on carbon tax. The economist doesn't look at that, and they say carbon tax seems to work. Policymakers, different school, because policymakers are influenced by social norms, society, and influences of pocket line money. So I'm going to denounce citizenship. Where there's less, there's more. And, if Australia starts getting bad, I can always go to New Zealand. There's always going to be problems everywhere you go. The cost of living's high in Australia. So you have to make, I'm in a lawsuit. And they say you might not win and you might lose. Well, my pension's pretty well protected. I always have that, but I don't think I'll lose. I've been negating the problems by doing my own research. And I know I talk too much. I got to narrow it down. And next time I see the lawyers, I'm getting Legal Shield in. I'm drawing up a document because now they're going to sue me, my niece and nephews. I'm going to get that estate right back and prove that and detest it. And then I'm going to sue for damages. There's still a lot of property on me. They're not going to get away with that. Then I got other backups. I might have them arrested for elder abuse of their father because he died in the house and rotted. Well, police said, you can't do that. Why? Because the coroner would have that cut and dry. Well, lawyers said not all police officers know the law fully. They only know what they know, just like doctors only know what they know. So research it yourself. So, I was talking to a man there, a young man, and he was studied sociology. A woman comes in here, she's with the housing department. She studied sociology. She uses it. But here, he couldn't use it. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. But he said, it's given me a lever to study jazz piano. So, a bachelor's or master's degree isn't wrong, is it? If you could lever up on what you've learned. I went to college and I had to do research. and find my own path and understand how to research things and look them up and just look for synchronicity. And I find it. Watch is not charging. But, this is quite a long video. But I'm grateful for everything I've learned. And there's certain things that don't serve me anymore the way the thinking was. But what I learned from it was useful. And I still use bits and parts of things. I had this awareness that my shirt had labels on it. And I got thinking about it. The synchronicity of who I am is a label of a conformity of a selling product. I'm walking in the park, and they all got, I'm a Christian of this church, and it's all on their shirts. That's who they define themselves. In a gackle. I decided to be a spiritualist, but not be in those camps. Like my Reiki methods, I take in some of the holy fire teachings, I take in many, and just use them. And I'm taking a course, how to formulate your own brand of energy healing. I love that. So that's Melissa Crowhurst. She's teaching that in Australia. I need something to keep my money coming in because the Australian economy is so high. But I think I can make quite a bit of money in Reiki and essential oil cells and crystals. I love crystals. And my means of production. He says I got more gear than I have in the Valley of the Hutt. That's different, isn't it? Like having 2 tractor trailer fulls of guitars with Graham Nash. That's decadence? Or is it the means of production? Having technology that's so advanced that you can number crunch and do coding or anything like that. You need good technology. But how much? Well, I know I need massive storage and fast computer power. I'll probably go to Pro Mac. I like them. An M2 or faster processor. And very high gigabytes of storage and hard drive. But I use cloud systems, but I combine them. So I see no wrong and maybe back them up with printed copies of documents and store them somehow. I always find a way. I was building a Reiki box. And you look at people with Reiki boxes, they got all these little papers. And they just fill out the box. I found this little books. They're just little wee notebooks over at the dollar store for $1. And I fill them up and I write and put symbols in them. And it works. You always find something that you got to question. I got all these papers in this Reiki box. I'm going to try to find a way to put energy into it. So I build grids. I think I'm on path for narrowing down all this stuff that I've learned, not to get attached to it. So the psychology was good to figure out myself, but the Reiki system is where I'm staying. Take care.